Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I am Siti Nushahira binti Osman. I am from the International Languages Teacher Training Institute. My research title is Using Storytelling in Improving Vocabulary Learning of Year 3 Pupils, and I have carried out this research under the supervision of Dr. Mazni binti Abdul Karim. So one of the major problems, or one of the most prominent problems faced by Malaysian ESL learners is lack of vocabulary knowledge or vocabulary mastery. And many researchers concerning this area have noticed this problem. So, as pointed out by these researchers in their studies, it is evident that one of the most significant problems experienced by Malaysian primary school pupils is lack of vocabulary knowledge. And it was also during my first phase of practicum at one of the Malaysian primary schools which I discovered this problem. And the issues related to this problem is the difficulty among the pupils in understanding and recalling the words that they have learned, in which new words were easily forgotten, and they seem to be struggling in transferring new words to real life use, thus making it hard for them to use the taught words successfully. Hence, this research is carried out with an objective to determine whether the use of storytelling helps to improve vocabulary learning of Year 3 pupils, and this research is also carried out to answer my research questions, which are: number one, does the use of storytelling help to improve vocabulary learning of Year 3 pupils? And the second research question is: how does the use of storytelling help to improve vocabulary learning of Year 3 pupils? There have been a number of researches being carried out concerning the use of storytelling in teaching vocabulary, including in the Malaysian context. So, in a study conducted by Hilal and Abdul Kadir in 2014, it is revealed that storytelling provides learners with an opportunity to see and hear vocabulary in a meaningful and memorable context. And it is also revealed that storytelling helps to provide the learners with an opportunity to infer the meanings of words that they do not know, which is the unknown word, via the context of the story. And in another study conducted by Kara and Aydin in 2019, it is revealed that storytelling has a positive effect both on recall and retention of receptive and productive vocabulary. And storytelling helped to provide ground for various activities which help to introduce the target words or the targeted vocabulary in a meaningful and familiar context. Furthermore, the use of storytelling in introducing vocabulary to the pupils has always been compared to the use of other traditional methods in introducing vocabulary. In a study conducted by Krashen and Masson as well as McKillen in 2019, it is found out in these two studies that teaching of vocabulary is not as efficient as learning vocabulary via listening to stories, because the effect of direct instruction is more fragile, which fades more with time. And in another study conducted by Linda in 2018 and Farizawati in 2016, it is also found out that there was a significant improvement in the vocabulary of the pupils taught using the storytelling technique compared to those who were taught using the traditional memorizing techniques, such as the drilling methods or memorization of the word list. Now, let's move on to methodology. So, there were three types of data collection methods being employed in this research. So, these three data collection methods are used together to complement and supplement each other in order to provide methodological triangulation to this research. Now, I'll be explaining on the most important part of this presentation, which is the summary of findings. The summary of findings will be explained in accordance to the research question. So, to answer research question 1 on does the use of storytelling help to improve vocabulary learning of Year 3 pupils, the analysis of pupils' work were done. So, based on the analysis of pupils' work, which cover the aspect of form, meaning, and use, as can be seen in Figure 2, it can be deduced that the use of storytelling has positive impacts in improving pupils' vocabulary learning in terms of the aforementioned aspect. Next, to answer the research question 2 on how does the use of storytelling help to improve vocabulary learning of Year 3 pupils, the analysis on semi-structured interview and informal conversation were done. So the first theme that emerged from the analysis of the semi-structured interview and the informal conversation carried out with the pupils is provide contextual support. So based on the interview and the conversation carried out with the pupils, it is found out that the story provides context for them to understand the words better. So this finding has supported a claim made by Bai in 2018, and this finding also corresponds to the findings of research conducted by Fazani and Mahmoud in 2016, which revealed that the use of storytelling approach to teach vocabulary proven effective, as the use of storytelling can change the difficult ideas into easy ones and make the abstract language teachable. Next, the second theme that emerged from the analysis of the semi-structured interview and the informal conversation is provide linguistic support. So based on the responses gained from the pupils by conducting the interview and conversation with them, it is found out that storytelling has the incorporation of visuals, varied intonation, and gestures, which have helped pupils to understand the words presented better. So this finding corresponded to the findings of a study conducted by Albaladejo, Coyle, and Delarius in 2018, who agreed that the superiority of stories for learning vocabulary might be based on the fact that storytellers capture children's attention better by adjusting prosody, which include things like intonation, tones, stress, and rhythms when narrating stories orally. Next, the third theme that emerged from the analysis of the semi-structured interview and the informal conversation carried out with the pupils is increased motivation. So based on the responses gained from the pupils, it can be inferred that the use of storytelling in conducting the lesson can be considered as a fun learning, which indirectly provides a less stressful learning environment that increase their motivation to learn. So this is also in line with Krashen's effective filter hypothesis, which asserted that effective language teaching takes place when input is provided and made comprehensible in a low anxiety situation. I have mentioned earlier with regards to the methodological triangulation, the analysis of the reflective journal entry was also done in order to support, complement, and supplement the data obtained from the analysis of the semi-structured interview and the informal conversation carried out with the pupils. So the analysis of the reflective journal entry has discovered two emerging themes, which are encourage active participation and suitable selection of stories. So based on the analysis of the reflective journal entry excerpt, it is found out that the use of storytelling when introducing vocabulary to the pupils helped to encourage active participation among the pupils, and this was evident from their engagement and their responses during the lesson. And the second theme that emerged from the analysis of the reflective journal entry is suitable selection of stories. So as stated in the excerpt of the journal entry, some pupils seem to have difficulty in remembering certain details in the story. This could be seen from their responses when being prompted with questions regarding the story. And this finding correlated with in 2015, which indicated that selection of stories requires teachers to pay attention to the stories that hold the most potential for providing reading pleasure and purpose for the students. So it can be inferred that the stories selected must be within their range of proficiency and background knowledge, as well as having familiar structural patterns to support their learning via the use of storytelling. So here I will be presenting two recommendations for future research. The first one is I would like to recommend that this similar research to be carried out with level 2 pupils, which are pupils from year 4, year 5, and year 6, as well as pupils with low and high proficiency level. Secondly, it could also be recommended that the employment of the storytelling in the future research could also be approached by using digital stories, because due to this pandemic, the digitalization of teaching and learning through online platforms has taken place and has changed the landscape of education in Malaysia. Next, based on the findings of this research, it could be said that this research would be beneficial to teachers and all educators, because The results and findings of this research will help teachers to employ an effective teaching strategy and technique in facilitating vocabulary learning of the pupils. So, to conclude, the use of storytelling could be considered as one of the alternatives in teaching vocabulary to the pupils. However, it is no doubt that the use of other methods are also important to maximize pupils' potential of learning. So that's all from me. Thank you.